order, meaning the biggest exponent down to your constant. Do we have that? Biggest exponent down to constant, yes. Next thing we want to make sure is that there's no exponent that's missing. So if I have my biggest exponent is 3, I need an exponent of 3, an exponent of 2, an exponent of 1, and then a constant. Do I have all of that? All right, so now what you're going to do is you're going to write out all of the coefficients, not the variables or the exponents, just the coefficients. So I have a 1, a 2, a -3, and a 1. And to the left in a little box, we're going to put the number we're substituting in for x. So we're substituting in a 2 first. So that 2 is going to go in the box. Then what you do is you bring down your first coefficient and you multiply that number with the number in the box. So 1 times 2 is 2. Now that's going to go into the empty space in the second column. And then you add that column. So 2 plus 2 is 4. Now we're going to repeat this process all over again. 4 times 2 is 8. I'm writing that in the third column now. -3 plus 8 is 5. Now we have 5 times 2 is 10. 1 plus 10 is 11. And now the number you get in that last column after you add, that's what your answer is. So when it says, what is f of 2? F of 2 is 11, meaning if I plug in 2 for x and I simplify, that's going to simplify down to 11. So f of 2 equals 11. All right, but they didn't ask us just to find f of 2. What else were we asked to find? F of -1. So this time I put -1 in the box. Same coefficients. What if there was a variable or an exponent missing? What would I have to put for that placeholder? 0. Perfect. So we're going to bring down that 1. 1 times -1 is a -1. 2 plus -1 is 1. 1 times -1 is 1. -3 plus a -1 is a -4. -4 times -1 is a +4. 1 plus 4 is 5. So what is f of -1? 5. And what does this mean? F of -1 is 5. If I plug in -1 for x and I simplify, what will it simplify down to? 5. That's what this means. Okay, so new lesson. We're going to be dividing polynomials. So when we're dividing polynomials, each expression has a name. The expression that goes into the house is called the dividend. The expression that's on the outside is the divisor. The answer we get once we divide is the quotient. And let's say it doesn't go evenly and you're left with something at the end. What is that called when it doesn't go in evenly and you're left with something at the end? The remainder. You got it. And let's bring it back to elementary school. Let's say I'm going to take 7 and divide it by 5. 5 goes into 7 one time. 1 times 5 is 5. We subtract. 7 minus 5 is 2. Do we agree 7 is my dividend? 5 is the divisor. 1 is the quotient. What is 2? The remainder. So our quotient, which is Q, is 1. Our remainder is, which is R, is 2. Does anybody remember how to check using your quotient and your remainder to make sure you divided correctly?
multiply the quotient by the divisor, divisor would have the remainder.
You got it. So to check, the dividend will always equal the quotient times the divisor plus the remainder. So in this scenario, 7 should equal the quotient, which is 1, times the divisor, which is 5, plus the remainder, which is 2. And does 7 equal 7? It does. Okay, question for you. Is 2 a factor of 14? Is 2 a factor of 14? How many people say yes? 2 is a factor of 14. How many people say no? Okay, good. It's not a trick question. 2 is a factor of 14. How do you know that 2 is a factor of 14?
2 times 7 equals 14.
Good. 2 times 7 equals 14, or 14 divided by 2 is 7. Is 3 a factor of 14? How come? Ariana? Exactly. 2 is a factor of 14 because if we divide 14 by 2, we have a 0 remainder, right? But if we take 14 and divide it by 3, we get a non-zero remainder. So what does that tell us? How do we know if something's a factor? We know if something's a factor if we have a remainder of 0. Something's not a factor if we have a non-zero remainder. So my next question is x minus 3 a factor of 4x squared minus 5x minus 3? And based on our logic that we just discussed, how do we know if something's a factor? It has a remainder of 0. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to divide these and see what my remainder is going to be. So my dividend is going to be 4x squared minus 5x minus 3. And we're going to divide that by the divisor, which is x minus 3. So in the dividend, you also want to make sure every exponent is accounted for. I have my highest exponent is 2, and that it's in descending order. So this is good. So my highest exponent is 2, then I have a 1, and then I have my constant. So I'm good. Every exponent is accounted for. Now what you're going to do is you're going to say x times what will give me a 4x squared. So x times what number or what expression will give me a 4x squared? Violet. 4x. So you guys remember we did this in the beginning of the year. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take that 4x and you're going to distribute it into the divisor. So 4x times x is a 4x squared. 4x times a negative 3 is a negative 12x. At this point, do you agree that we have to subtract? But because I'm subtracting a binomial, what do I have to do with that minus? Because I'm subtracting this whole binomial, what do I have to do with the minus? Distribute it in. So when I distribute in that minus, aren't I changing all the signs to the opposite? Are you guys remembering this now? I hope so. All right. So now the first term should absolutely cancel out. If it does not cancel out, that means you did something wrong. So 4x squared minus 4x squared cancels. Negative 5x plus 12x is 7x, and bring down that negative 3. Yes. Oh, do you know how we got 4x up top? You distribute that into the divisor. So 4x times x is 4x squared. 4x times negative 3 is a negative 12x. You're welcome. All right, now we ask ourselves, okay, 7x times what will give me a 7x? So x times what will give me a 7x? Ariana? Good, positive 7. So I'm going to write plus 7 as part of my quotient. And now what do I do with that 7? Distributed into the divisor. 7 times x is a 7x. 7 times a negative 3 is a negative 21. Now at this point, we have to subtract. But because I'm subtracting a binomial, what do I have to do with that minus? Distribute it in. So all the signs change to the opposite. The 7x's cancel as they should. If you did something and that term didn't cancel, what does that tell you? You did something wrong. Exactly. And now I have a negative 3 plus a positive 21 is going to give us 18. You got it. Positive 18. So now our quotient is 4x plus, what was it? 7? And our remainder is a positive 18. Is x minus 3 a factor? No, x minus 3 is not a factor because it has a non-zero remainder.
But in this, we never really use the median that it's excluded, that mean that it's minus anything.
We did use the 3 because we always distributed in the number into that 3 also. So it did play a big factor, actually. Yes. You mean for synthetic substitution? That is another method. So we're not getting to that method today. You do need to know that method that you're talking about, but you also need to do this because I'm going on the test. I'm going to specifically say use this or use that method. So you're on the right track, but we need to know it all. Yes. Yes. All right. Next one. I want you guys to try this one on your own. Is 3x plus 5 a factor of 30 minus 2x squared minus 2x plus 6x cubed? What do you think the first thing I'm going to recommend you do here, Ollie? Good. Put it in standard form. Put it in descending order. So put the dividend in descending order. Should we still always make sure that every exponent is accounted for? Yes. Is every exponent accounted for? Yeah, it's just in the wrong order. All right, so you tell me, guys, is it a factor, yes or no? Yeah, why? Because the remainder is 0. Does anybody need to see me do this problem? Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is put it in descending order. So we have x to the third minus 2x squared minus 2x plus 30. And so that's our dividend, which goes on the inside, 6x to the third minus 2x squared minus 2x plus 30. And we're going to have our divisor is 3x plus 5. So now I'm going to ask myself, 3x times what gives me 6x to the third? So we're going to say 3x times 2x squared. So now we're going to take that 2x squared and we're going to distribute it into the divisor. 2x squared times 3x is a 6x to the third. 2x times 5 is a positive, 2x squared times 5 is a positive 10x squared. At this point, we are subtracting, so I have to distribute in the negative and change all the signs. The 6x cubes cancel. So now we're left with negative 2x squared minus 10x squared is a negative 12x squared. Bring down everything else. And now we ask ourselves, 3x times what will give me negative 12x squared? Well, it's going to be 3x times negative 4x. So now I take that negative 4x and I distribute it into the divisor. Negative 4x times 3x is a negative 12x squared. Negative 4x times 5 is a negative 20x. But because we're subtracting, we have to distribute in that negative, which changes all of the signs. The 12x squareds cancel. So now I'm left with a positive 18x, and I'm bringing down the positive 30. 3x times what will give me 18x? 3x times 6 will give me that 18x. Distribute in. 6 times 3x is 18x. 6 times 5 is 30. At this point, we have to subtract. So we're going to distribute in the negative, changing all of the signs. And then the 18x cancels and the 30s cancel. So we have a remainder of 0. So now I'm asking us to divide 10x cubed minus 34x plus 4 by 2x minus 4. Okay, so I'm not asking if it's a factor. I'm asking us to divide, so I need a quotient and a remainder, or just a quotient if the remainder is 0. What we're going to do is I'm going to look at the dividend, 10x cubed minus 34x plus 4, and I'm going to realize, hopefully I'm going to realize, that there's something wrong here. What is wrong with this? Violet. It's missing an exponent. So when I come to set up my division house, I have 10x to the third. I'm missing the second, the degree of 2. So I'm going to say plus 0x squared minus 34x plus 4. Now I'm going to check one more time. My highest degree is 3, and then I have every exponent after that down to my constant. I have a 3, a 2, a 1, and my constant, so I'm good to go there. And now the divisor is 2x minus 4. So we're going to divide again. What kind of division is this called? No, not synthetic. What kind of long division? This is long division. This is called long division. So maybe we should write that at the very top so we know. So first thing we did was this is long division. Okay, so now let's go back. And now we're going to divide. 2x times what will give me 10x cubed? 5x squared. Now we distribute in. 5x squared times 2x is 10x cubed. 5x squared times a negative 4 is a negative 20x squared. But because we are subtracting, I need to distribute in the negative, which changes all of the signs. So now the 10x cubes cancel, and I'm left with 20x squared minus 34x plus 4. So 2 times what gives us 20x squared? 10x, you got it. Now I'm going to distribute in that 10x. 10x times 2x is a 20x squared. 10x times a negative 4 is a negative 40x. We're going to distribute in the negative and change up all our signs. So now our 20x squareds cancel, and we're left with 6x plus 4. 2x times what will give us 6x? 3. Good. Distribute in that 3. 3 times 2x is a 6x. 3 times negative 4 is a negative 12. Distribute in that negative and change up all our signs. 6x's cancel, and we are left with 16. So on the test, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a spot for the quotient and I'll have a spot for the remainder. So you write your quotient next to Q. So our quotient is 5x squared plus 10x plus 3. And our remainder is going to be 16. All right, so now this, what kind of dividing was this? Long division. Now we're going to use synthetic division. All right, lots of rules to use synthetic division. So in order to use synthetic division, okay, to use synthetic division, a polynomial must be divided by a binomial with a degree of 1. What do I mean when I say the binomial must have a degree of 1?
Exponent of x has to be 1.
Good. The highest exponent of x has to be 1. So basically, it has to be an x with an exponent of 1 and a constant. I can't have anything other than that. All right, so it must be divided by a binomial with a degree of 1. We're going to say polynomial, or I should say dividend and divisor must be in descending order. The leading coefficient of the divisor must be 1. So many rules, like it needs to meet so much criteria to even be able to use synthetic division. And lastly, actually, this one's not really important. We'll leave it at the 3. Okay, so let's practice. So we're going to use synthetic division to divide 3x cubed minus x squared plus 2x minus 4 by x minus 3. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is make sure there's a lot of restrictions on my divisor. This is my divisor. Whatever we divide by, that's the divisor. So we want to make sure x minus 3 is a binomial. Is x minus 3 a binomial? Yes. Is the degree of this 1? Is the biggest exponent here 1? Yes. Then I want to make sure that the leading coefficient, the number in front of the x, is also 1. Is the leading coefficient 1? Yes. So all the restrictions on the divisor have been met. We're in good shape here. Now I just want to make sure that they're both in descending order. Is that okay also? Is every exponent accounted for? Yes. Now what you're going to do is write out your coefficients of your dividend: 3, -1, 2, and -4. But now we need to put a number in the box, right? To find the number to put in the box, we're going to set divisor equal to 0, then solve for x. That will be the number in the box. So I'm taking x minus 3, I'm setting equal to 0, and what do I get? X equals 3. So 3 goes into the box. Is everybody okay so far? Okay, now we're going to use exactly what we've been doing. That's synthetics, like we did in synthetic substitution. Bring down the 3. 3 times 3 is 9. Now we add -1 plus 9 is 8. 8 times 3 is 24. 2 plus 24 is a 26. 26 times 3 is 78. Negative 4 plus 78 is a 74. Last column is your remainder. All the other ones, these are going to be the coefficients of your quotient. I'm going to put a star. I'm going to say quotient will always be 1 degree less than the dividend. Okay, so what was the degree of my dividend from the original problem? 3. So my quotient will be 1 degree less than that. So 1 degree less than 3 is 2. So my quotient is going to be 3x squared. Since that's a positive 8, I'm going to write plus 8x plus 26. And the remainder is 74. Okay, we're going to do one more problem and then we'll call it a day. Sound like a plan? Okay. So again, I want us to use synthetic division. Right, I'm focusing in on the divisor right now. There's a lot of things that the divisor must, a lot of criteria the divisor must meet. First thing, it's a binomial. Yes, good. Hey, is the degree of this binomial 1? Yes. Is the leading coefficient of this binomial 1? Yes. So the divisor is in good shape. Something wrong with the dividend. What's wrong with the dividend? Violet. It's missing an exponent. So easy fix, I can just put in a placeholder there. So we're missing 5x, we have 5x cubed plus, oops, sorry, not 0, plus 2, plus x squared plus 0x minus 7. Sometimes would it be okay if I miss 2 exponents? Would that be okay? Yeah, you just put in 0 twice, right, for each missing exponent. So now all the coefficients of the dividend, those are the numbers I line up. So I have a 5, a 1, a 0, and a negative 7. Who remembers how I find the number I put in the box? Ali. Good. X plus 1 equals 0, so x will equal -1. So -1 is going into the box. Now we use our synthetic division, bring down that 5. 5 times -1 is a -5. 1 plus a -5 is a -4. -4 times a -1 is a +4. 4 times -1 is a -4. -7 minus 4 is a -11. What does this last column represent? The remainder. So is it safe to say that x plus 1 is not a factor of 5x squared, 5x cubed plus x squared minus 7? How do we know it's not a factor? Good, because the remainder isn't 0. Was I asking if it was a factor? No, I said to divide. So that means we need a quotient. And now how do I write out my quotient? The degree of the quotient is what in comparison to the degree of the dividend? Ariana? 1 less than. So we had a degree of 3, so now we're a degree of 2. So we're 5x squared minus 4x plus 4, and our remainder is -11. This is where we're going to stop.